Yes guys, this is the thing that people don't tell you about property investment. Let me show you around. So this was a 3-bed HMO that we purchased for £80,000 and spent £30,000 on it. It was rented to a supported living provider. What then happened was there was a leak in the property, the supported living provider went bump, and essentially the gaff is basically fucked. Let's just put it simply. So if you just come through here, you'll see what damage the leak has caused. As you can see, look around the room. It's absolutely fucked. I can't even say it, it's just fucked, innit? Let's be honest. But yeah, let's just keep going through the property. Obviously, because there's been a leak, none of the heating's been on. It's been left empty for 6 months. It's the whole building has just pretty much gone into a place of repair that we're going to have to probably spend an extra 30-40 grand to fix. The insurance, they didn't pay out because we couldn't prove that the heating was above 15 degrees C or whatever it was. You know, insurers use shitty excuses. But yeah, these are the things that people don't tell you in property investment.
Look what they've done to my property! Petrol can, we need to burn the place down. It's a tire for a car. I actually need one of these for the Porsche. If you don't like the wallpaper, just tell us, but there's no need to like rip it off. Oh, hedge cleaners! He's got hedge cleaners! He's never f***ing used it! Oh my god, above. Love. They didn't show the love to the banister. Oh. They actually left money. That'll pay towards the refurb.
My biggest headache is my working professional HMOs. Don't really like the working professional HMOs. Number one, it's up and down. So say for example, someone moves out and you have to get a new tenant in, new tenant fine fee, leaking taps, changing of light bulbs. Just all these annoying little things that you have to deal with when you have working professional HMOs.
So we recently had a property where tenant was early onset nightmare. I think that's the best way to put it. They moved in and straight away problems, boiler issue, no problem, had someone out straight away, had it repaired in 24 hours. Property had sat empty before we purchased it for several months. So, you know, there's always going to be a teething problem. Not the end of the world, we'll get it sorted. And then kept moaning there's all these other issues, saying that there's mold everywhere, that there's damp, there's all sorts of issues. I was like, okay, this doesn't quite make sense. Sent a contractor out to have a look at it. I thought, okay, he's come back with a completely different story. I said to the tenant, look, I'm going to be available on this day, which was 3-4 days later. I will come with the contractor and we'll go over everything, and what I'll do is make a plan to get it fixed. What needs fixing. Get to the property, like 95% of what the tenant had said were issues weren't an issue. They didn't actually exist. They were saying how the property is uninhabitable, which just simply wasn't true. What wasn't true at all. There was a part of the rear bedroom where the floorboards had rotten. They'd got damp over the years and dried out, but had got rotten and were disintegrating. But we're talking a very small corner. Okay, so not the end of the world, not great, but we'll get it sorted. I said, okay, well, look, this is the Monday, we'll have it fixed by the Wednesday. Not a problem, take 2 days, get it sorted, we'll get a contractor in tomorrow. And they were like, well, we don't want to live here anymore. Like, this house is not inhabitable, we want out. I was like, okay, cool, no problem, just give us back the keys. So they gave me the keys. I thought, okay, great, we have just really simply got rid of a nightmare tenant. They've paid rent for the month, we've got a deposit, and they were like, you're going to give us back our rent and deposit for the whole time? I was like, well, look, I will put everything in an email to you so that everything's black and white and we know where we stand. I'll do that tomorrow. Next day, I'm getting phone calls. I think it was like 9:30. They're like, you said you'd email us. You said you'd return the money. I was like, well, okay, let's take it back a step. We never said we'd return the money. I said I'd email you confirming what we're going to do. And then, of course, they went ballistic. But the reality is they've sold signed a 12-month tenancy agreement. The property is in a good condition. Okay, we had a small issue with a small corner of one of the bedrooms. I'd live there happily, no problem. I'd live there. But the tenant trying to try it on now, trying to get the rent money back, get the deposit back. It just gives tenants a bad name.
So this little decided to trash one of my properties. This is how we dealt with it. Step number one, we always take the security deposit, and we took that from their card straight away.
In this video, I'd like to tell you what the eviction laws in this country did to me. Back in 2015, I had a few projects in mind, and I made the serious mistake of renting out my home, which is not a castle. It's just a beautiful, quaint little cottage in a village on the edge of Northampton. But for me, I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I live in somewhere that has a history going back over 200 years, and I'm privileged to be just another small chapter in the history of this property. But anyway, so I rented the property on an assured tenancy back in the summer of 2015 for 6 months, which is what the tenants wanted. They renewed for another 6 months, and then by the summer of 2016, I had intended to move back. I was away during the summer. While I was away, the people in the property moved out, and they moved a friend in, despite the fact that I told them not to and did not give them permission to do so. I got back to the UK beginning of September 2016, and I found a woman living in here with 2 children. I came to see her, and I told her that I did not want to re-rent the property. I didn't give permission for the property to be re-rented. I don't want to be unreasonable. I can see that you have children, so I said to her, look, it's beginning of September. I'll give you till Christmas. In fact, so that I don't distress you through the holidays, you can move sometime just after the new year. She said yes. Wonderful. Thought that would be sorted. Came back in January, asked her what's happening. She said, well, the council told me I mustn't go. I contacted the council, and I was informed. This is where I actually pointed out something in my previous video. I learnt this the hard way. The council then informed me that because I had accepted a rent from this woman, she has an assured tenancy, whether I have given it in writing to her or not. And therefore, I couldn't just force her out. Having a tenant in a property with an assured tenancy, but without something in writing, 9 out of 10 solicitors, it stumps them. I paid, I think, 3 or 4 different solicitors, upwards of £200 each, just to have a look at what I'd sent them in an email, which was basically a 1-page summary, so that they could then tell me what they're going to charge to help me with this. And the problem was, for me, was that she moved in after the 2015 Deregulation Act, which meant that she then argued further down the line, or I was told, but she did, but I was told by the solicitors that she would probably argue that she wasn't given a gas safety certificate, a how to rent certificate, EPC, etc. before moving in, meaning that the court would reject a Section 21 eviction. This went on for 2 years. Finally, I found some solicitors in London who explained to me the process of how they would go about it. I had no choice at this point. I was a lot of money out of pocket, money I paid solicitors for, advice that was not advice whatsoever. It was just a token gesture to justify them charging me to just read a one-page summary. In total, I had my personal effects in storage for over 3 years, which was over £5,000 alone. And I was actually effectively homeless through this period because I had just sold the last of my buy-to-lets when this happened because I had other plans. So I was left in limbo through all this period. I'd spent a fortune in legal fees. Eventually we went to court with a manual application. We had to go before a judge. As I said previously, we went twice, and both times the judge sort of found in her favour to delay. We now had entered 2019, and if you remember, on the home stretch to the election, this was when Corbyn was promising that if he were to get into power, he would give private tenants the right to buy. So I started panicking that I was going to lose my home. Anyway, cut a long story short, in the end, I overcame the argument about the gas safety certificate and so on, because although I was away, a friend of mine had dropped the paperwork off, and she was a magistrate, so she made a sworn statement to that effect. And realising that she was going to be evicted as soon as she found another property, fortunately she moved out, and fortunately there was no damage to my property, but I was thousands of pounds out of pocket, a 5-figure sum, not to mention the stress and inconvenience and the fact that my life was on hold for 3 years while I was in limbo. This was all perfectly legal.
They are in because they've come and bolted the door. Will you open the door, please? We're not going to go away, and we will break in if we have to.
It's been a stressful time for landlady Christine.
They went in on the 11th of July last year. They bounced the cheque for the deposit. Since then, I've been shaking and quaking nervously about whether I'm going to be able to survive financially. They know I left London to go and live in Cornwall because I've had cancer and I wanted to de-stress.
No one is answering the door, but then Christine receives a phone call.
Oh, it's him. Hello, Arnold. Hi, are you at home? We need to get in. I don't need to arrange it. It's the High Court enforcement that are here. You're leaving today. Yes, you are, darling. Let me put you on to the man because I'm going to get upset speaking to you. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, I'm a High Court enforcement agent. I'm standing outside the door with a High Court writ to repossess this property. The writ authorises me to break in if I need to, and I will, if you don't open the door.
The tenant says he's not at home.
Yeah. How old are the children? Your children, if they're that age, should not be left in the house on their own. I shall ring social services to take care of the children. I'm not going to be kept waiting. No, it's no longer. I'm going to do it now. Thank you.
Concerned about the children's safety, Paul wants to take immediate possession of the property.
Paul, apparently I can get in from the back.
The agents split up.
There's a 7-foot door in the way.
With children home alone, this eviction has taken an unexpected turn.
Judicious use of the crowbars.
Paul and Phil will have to act quickly.
I'm looking for children.
I'm fucking worked 6 days this week. I'm doing overtime. I'm tired. I'm on my period. I'm fucking starving. I haven't seen my son since Friday. I'm all emotional. And every fucking road I've gone to turn up, diversion.